Telecasters. They're heavy. Les Pauls, they're heavy. Howdy folks, welcome to the channel. I do appreciate you stopping by today, taking time out of your busy day to do so. I really appreciate it, and I'd really appreciate if you would subscribe if you're not already, and give me a comment on what you think. I think I'm going to get a lot of comments on this video. And because it's kind of a heavy subject that I'll try not to take lightly. See what I did there? Well, you'll see. But it's something that I had never thought about before. In all the years I have messed around with guitars, I never gave any real weight, did it again, to this subject, and that is the weight of the guitar. But now, like many of you, I spend a lot of time watching guitar reviews on YouTube, and I've noticed the emphasis that's put on it. Now, back in the day, back when I was out playing gigs, and that's a long time ago, I never even thought about it. I grew up playing heavy guitars. Telecasters. They're heavy. Les Pauls, they're heavy. But I kind of have a little background that may explain why I just don't even think about that. Because yes, in high school, I was a band geek, and I was in the drum corps. I started out as a drummer, and I was in the drum corps, and my first year in the drum corps, I played the tri-toms, or trip-toms, or whatever you want to call them. And let me tell you something, folks, that sucker was heavy, and I marched from band camp through the marching season. I wore that thing a lot, and it was heavy. I was used to it though. So when I would strap a guitar around my neck, that didn't even feel like anything. So no, I never really gave a whole lot of thought to the weight of a guitar. But now, as I watch all the reviews, and also as I'm getting older, you know, I'm thinking, I gotta think about this subject a little more. Now, I have some preconceived notions. Don't we all? Right? We all have things in our head that at some point either somebody told us was true, or we just sort of on our own decided, well, this is true. And, well, yeah, we sort of avoid anything that contradicts what we think. I'm guilty. I do it all the time. Well, let me give you an example, because today I'm going to compare, well, I'm not going to do any playing comparisons. Nobody wants to hear me play, actually. But I'm going to talk about my lightest guitar and my heaviest guitar. So let's start with the heaviest. And that would be Vera, my favorite guitar. My 2018 Les Paul Traditional. Love this guitar. And truthfully, part of the reason I bought it was because it's heavy as I mean, it's heavy. Come on. This is a heavy guitar. I was shopping. I spent a long time looking for a new Les Paul. And I played dozens, and I do mean dozens, of Les Paul standards because that's what I thought I wanted. And there were good ones. There were ones that didn't quite. None of them, honestly. And this is pre 2019, pre changeover with Gibson. This was in 2018. And I never picked up a bad one. They were all pretty good. They they just there was something. I was looking for the perfect guitar. There was something that was bothering me about them. Now I had a Les Paul years ago. I can't often afford pricier guitars, but I had one that I had bought used, and it was kind of dinged up. It wasn't the prettiest guitar ever, but it was a Les Paul, and it sounded great. It was, I think it was a 70s. It was somewhere in the 70s was the year. I don't really remember. I do miss that guitar. But it was a heavy guitar too. And that's what, that's what a Les Paul to me was supposed to feel like. And it wasn't until I one day picked up a traditional model. And as soon as I picked it up, I went, oh, hey, what's going on here? And intuitively, I know that at a certain point, Gibson started routing out chunks of wood out of the bodies of Les Paul standards, and for the sake of weight, they call it weight relief. And I knew that was the case, but it didn't really register. I hadn't put two and two together. It wasn't until I picked up this guitar and I was like, oh, there's a difference there. This feels like a Les Paul. And it clicked. It's like, that's why those others never quite clicked to me. They just didn't feel right. And it was a weight thing. Les Pauls are supposed to be heavy. That's the notion that I have in my head. But does it make it a better guitar? I don't know. I know the 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 prejudice that I have in my head. I associate that tone with the weight, but I'm not sure now if that's even fair. Because, well, let's look at it. Well, before I do that, let's look at my lightest guitar, and it's one that I just got my last video. I unboxed some Harley Benton guitars, and as it turns out, this CST, it's hard for me to remember, CST 24 Deluxe, which coming real soon, there's going to be a review on this guitar. I haven't gotten around to shooting that one yet. But this guitar is just light. I mean, I couldn't do this with my Les Paul. I just couldn't hold it like that. There's no way I could do that. Now, it's not to say this doesn't weigh a few pounds, but it is a really light guitar. And when I do the review, you'll see fully what I think about how it sounds, the tone, and all that. And to compare it to Vera here would be completely unfair because Gibson burst buckers, Harley Benton, Roswell pickups. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Roswell pickups. Wait for the review on that too. But it's a light guitar. And let me tell you, as a guy who's rapidly approaching, I don't even want to say what age, but there might be 60. Yeah, weight is starting to be a thing. But I don't want to sacrifice tone. I really don't. I would much rather play a guitar that weighs a ton if I know that it's going to give me just that awesome, that sound that I want. We're all, come on, we're all chasing tone, aren't we? It's all about how it sounds. Even with playability, we'll overlook a few playability. If a guitar just sounds so killer, you know, melt in your mouth kind of tone, we'll overlook a little problem here, won't we? I know I will. You may be different, but I'll struggle a little bit here if it sounds awesome, right? So tone kind of is king. Wait, Tone King. Hey, Tone King. Love your channel, man. But yeah, tone is king. Playability is important. Where does weight fall into that category? And does weight affect the other two or the other things? Now, here's how I've always looked at it. Density of wood. I'm no physicist, but it seems to me that wood that is more dense, heavy wood, the denser the wood is, the heavier it's going to be. But the denser that it is, the less amount of vibration it will absorb, like a shock absorber. And though pickups are the primary, pickups are the most important thing, I think, because that's really what's had the vibration of these strings over the magnets and coils in these pickups is where your tone actually goes through here, out here, and to your amp. But you cannot deny that the vibrations that transfer from the strings to the bridge, into the wood, through the neck, to the nut, the more vibration you get transferring through all that, the longer these strings are going to vibrate because they're getting a little boost of that vibration through the body. So a denser wood is going to accomplish that better than a less dense wood. Think of something becoming spongy. Well, a sponge is a less dense material. It will absorb. Sponges absorb. So does it make a difference? Well, yes, it does. A denser wood, tone wood, if you will, is going to be more efficient at transferring those vibrations. So naturally, it'll make a difference. But here's the key. And that's where I used to stop. And that was my mistake, I think. Because I'm still not sure. And I want comments. Come on, tell me what you think. Because all of a sudden I started thinking, well, yeah, it makes sense that it would make a difference. But is that difference really enough for my ears to actually hear it. Now, I'm kind of an old guy, and let's face it, the human ear is not nearly as efficient as, say, a dog's ear. A lot of the animal kingdom can hear way better than we can. We're already starting at a bit of a disadvantage. So, but yeah, and then the older you get, I can tell you from experience, it becomes less efficient. So, can you actually perceive the difference? I always thought, well, naturally you can. But the truth of the matter is, that's probably not true. In a blind test where you're not actually looking and you take let's take a Fender Telecaster. You take two Fender American identical model Telecasters, but one weighs almost a pound more than the other one does. Would you really be able to tell the difference between the two? I gotta believe no. And if you think you can, I challenge you to put it to the test. I don't know how you would, but if you ever get the chance, put it to the test. I think probably a lot of what we put emphasis on, there's some basis for it, but in the real world, when you go to a concert, when you watch a guitar player playing, have you ever thought to yourself, that sounds good, but man, if that guitar weighed an extra pound, it would sound great. That's what I'm talking about, folks. And that's something that I've had to learn, and that's something that I've I I am trying to become more enlightened. I'm trying to open myself. I'm trying to shed myself of the preconceived notions that I've had for decades. And I'm learning a lot. So anyway, I hope any of this made sense to you. Please comment below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if weight matters to you. And if so, why? I'm going to start really considering a lot more than just that, because I realize that you get these prejudices in your head, and they're really kind of hard to shake. Anyway, I do appreciate you watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I hope you are doing well. We're kind of in a really weird time. I hope we get out of this lockdown real quick, because I've about had it with that too. I want to go back into Guitar Center and fondle some gear. I really do. I'm jonesing. That said, be good, folks. Let's just be good. Take care.